You're born as a king's bastard son, in a fine room, in a castle so big you won't see all of it until you're grown. Silk sheets, a silver basin, a wet nurse who was chosen from 40 candidates. Your father is the King of England. Congratulations, little one. You've won the birth lottery, except you haven't, because the woman who just pushed you into the world isn't the queen. She's one of her ladies in waiting. And your father, the king? He was very much married to someone else when he made you. So here's the first word you'll ever be called before you can even say it back. Bastard. Welcome to the worst kind of luck a boy can have. Close enough to the crown to touch it, and forever forbidden to wear it. Let's live it. The christening. You're a few days old, and already you have a problem. You don't have your father's name. You can't have it. That would be admitting things out loud that kings prefer to keep quiet. So they hand you a compromise, a surname built specifically for boys like you. Fitzroy. It's Old Norman French, and it means son of the king. Cute, right? It's a name that brags and apologizes at the same time. Every person who hears it knows exactly 2 things about you instantly: that royal blood runs in your veins, and that it doesn't count. You're a walking asterisk, a footnote with a heartbeat. Your godfather at the font is a cardinal, one of the most powerful men in the country. Your father even parades you in front of the court one day, holding you up like a trophy. See, the king can make sons. It just so happens this one's illegitimate. Minor detail. You have no idea, gurgling away in your blankets, that you've just been drafted into the most dangerous game in the kingdom. Your very existence is a political statement, and political statements have a way of getting people killed, growing up sideways. Now here's the strange part about being a royal bastard. You don't grow up in the gutter. Far from it. You grow up with the best tutors money can buy. You learn Latin and Greek. You're sent off to study at Cambridge with a personal scholar assigned just to you. You ride the finest horses, wear the finest wool, eat off plate that a normal family would sell to feed themselves for a decade. Compared to the roughly 40% of babies in your era who don't even survive to see childhood, you are living like a small god. But you start to notice things. Little things at first. You notice that when your father visits, his eyes get soft and proud, and then something else flickers behind them. Calculation. He's not just looking at his son, he's looking at a piece on a board. You notice that the legitimate princess, your own half-sister, is spoken about in hushed, careful tones, and you are spoken about in a different tone entirely. Hers is the tone of future. Yours is the tone of maybe. You notice that everyone bows to you and no one quite means it. Wait, do you get to be king one day? You ask this out loud, once as a child, and the room goes very, very quiet, because that is the one question absolutely nobody is allowed to answer. The Gilded Avalanche. Then, around your 6th birthday, it happens. Your father decides to make his statement louder. In a single dizzying stretch, you are showered with more honors than any subject in the history of the kingdom. You're made a Knight of the Garter, the most senior order of knighthood in the land. Then, in a grand ceremony, a small boy who can barely hold a sword is raised up as Duke of Richmond and Somerset. A double dukedom. There are only 2 other dukes in the whole country, and now you outrank both. Then it keeps coming. Lord High Admiral of England. You're in charge of the Navy at 6. Lord President of the Council of the North. Warden of the marches against Scotland. They give you your own castle, your own court, your own council of grown men, who technically answer to a child who still loses his baby teeth. No English subject has ever been handed this much at once. And here's what makes it land like a lead weight in your gut when you're old enough to understand it. Your grandfather held the title of Richmond before he became king. Your father isn't being generous. He's leaving a trail of breadcrumbs. He's whispering to the whole kingdom, "Look how close this boy is. Look how easy it would be. You are being groomed as an emergency spare heir, a backup king." and you have absolutely no say in it. The catch nobody mentions. Here's the trap, though, and it's a beautiful, cruel one. All these titles, they can't fix the one thing that actually matters. In your father's England, the law is clear as glass. Only a legitimate child inherits land and crown. A bastard can be given a dukedom. A bastard cannot be given a throne. A papal blessing, an act of parliament, the entire machinery of church and state grinding into motion just to unstain your birth. So you exist in this exquisite limbo, too royal to be ordinary, too illegitimate to be royal. You're the understudy who's told every single day you're brilliant, you're beloved, you might go on tonight. And who knows, deep down, that the second illegitimate heir is born, the lights go off and nobody remembers your name. And you can feel that heir coming. You can feel your father tearing his entire kingdom apart trying to make one. New wives, broken marriages, a whole church split in half. All so he can have the one thing that would make you obsolete. Root for your own replacement. That's your job. That's the whole job. Married off. At 14, they marry you to a duke's daughter. Do you love her? Doesn't matter. Love was never on the invitation. It's a political alliance, arranged by a queen who has her own reasons for wanting you tied to her family. You're both children playing dress-up in adult roles, and yet, for a moment, your star is genuinely rising. Your father is running out of legitimate options. One wife gave him only a daughter. The next is failing to give him a living son. And in those anxious years, the king looks around his empty nursery, then looks at you, grown now, red-haired like him, handsome, capable, alive. And the forbidden thought crosses his mind again. What if it were you? Historians still call it one of the great what-ifs of the whole dynasty. For a window of time, you are seriously, genuinely in the running to be the next King of England. A bastard on the throne. It's been done before, generations back. Your father is halfway to considering it. You had a shot, an actual shot. Oh, look at that. You jinxed it. The body knows first. Because your lungs are already betraying you. It starts small, a cough that lingers, a tiredness that sleep doesn't fix, wasting away from within, while the outside still smiles and rides and attends ceremonies. In the spring of your 17th year, you even stand and watch as your own stepmother, a queen, is executed on your father's orders. That's the world you live in. Heads come off. The wheel turns. Nobody's safe, not even the ones who wore the crown. And then it's your turn, not by the axe, by something quieter and just as certain. Consumption. You are 17 years old, the exit nobody planned. You die in July in a royal palace, in the summer of your best and most promising year, right at the moment your father needed you most, right when the throne was closest. Your body simply quits. And here's the final, bitter joke of being a king's bastard. Even your death embarrasses him. Your father is so shaken that he orders you buried quietly, secretly, wrapped in a cart and carried out of the city with no great state funeral, no public grief. The backup king, hidden away like a mistake. There are even whispers you were poisoned because a boy this useful surely couldn't just die. You spent your whole life as the answer to a question no one would ask out loud, and you died before anyone answered it. The cruelest part? Just 1 year after you're gone, your father finally gets his legitimate son, a boy who will be king, a boy who makes every title they ever piled on you meaningless. You held the whole kingdom's hopes for a decade, and history remembers you as a footnote to the son who came after. You were given a name that meant son of the king. You were never allowed to be the king's son, and the one time the crown drifted close enough to grab, your own lungs pulled you under first. Oh, boy, it sucks to be born a king's bastard.